Hello all and welcome back to Shatter of Souls in Novaria. Today we are tackling the 100cc Lightning Cup on Mario Kart Wii without the use of items. Now it's about this point in time where I'm really starting to get the hang of using the inside drift bike thing, and I can definitely see the appeal. They're faster, easier to use than most, and they're tight corners, although I have a tendency to take them just a tad too tight, are definitely worthwhile, especially when we're dealing with high-end tracks and consistent usage of the same tight cornering, so to speak. Now, Mario Kart Wii has a bit of a AI concern slash problem. And the one thing that comes to mind that I think really sets it apart from the prior games and the future ones has to do with the fact that Mario Kart Wii's AI is a lot more aggressive than I think a lot of us remember it being. Mario Kart Wii, for lack of better terminology, has a habit of karting the player. This is that the player in first place, or whomever it is, will get hit by something hard one moment, and they'll get hit again, and again, and again, putting them from first place to 6th, 7th, even last place in next to no time at all. But what's the kicker to all of this is that even the heavyweight characters, the ones designed to get ahead as fast as possible, are somehow slower than the other racers that are using theoretically weaker vehicles and whatnot, effectively meaning that the AI in Mario Kart Wii actively cheats. Now, I did actually catch this a couple times in the last little while here, where I was messing around just seeing what the game was capable of, what the game does. And I came across the fact that there were a couple of moments where my rivals got boosts of speed out of nowhere, not drifting, going in an absolutely perfect straight line in one area, and all of a sudden, boom, speed boost out of nowhere. And it got me thinking about this AI problem. The fact that the player seems to get carded on a regular basis, that there seems to be something more to this than what potentially meets the eye. And I think I've cracked the code. And by that I mean I have an explanation. Whether or not it's a good one, bad one, or otherwise is up to your discussion. But my understanding of it comes from this. Mario Kart Double Dash had a total of 8 racers on each track. And the items that were at play were not as potent as they were in Mario Kart Wii. That is to say, if you got hit by a red shell, you tumble a little bit, but you keep moving forward. And you'd get yourself back on the road in no time, back up to full speed. And so, it slowed you down, sure, but didn't actually impede the ability to succeed. Mario Kart Wii, it doesn't matter if it's a banana, a red shell, blue shell, you are always going to come to a complete stop and have to start right from scratch. Now, as a individual who is going from effective 0 to back up to full speed, you'll end up in a circumstance where you're kind of hoopla. There's not a whole lot you can do to get ahead again without just waiting it out. And to emphasize my point, it takes a good 2 seconds to get up to a speed that's fast enough to be able to start drifting or using the wheelie mechanic. Meaning that, in theory, there's a situation wherein you, the player, cannot actually get up to speed the way you intend to get up to speed for a solid period of time. Meaning that your opponents will absolutely pass you. You will absolutely fall behind with the slightest hint of enemy aggression. And that's going to really dictate the outcome of your race. Is that the perfect solution to the item problem as Double Dash had it? Absolutely not. Is it potentially a better solution than what we had in Mario Kart DS? Maybe. But I'll leave that to your decision. The other side of it is that there are now 12 players. And the item balancing of the Mario Kart Double Dash was more or less you get the weaker variants of weapons or tools. Bananas, shells, maybe the odd mushroom. Generally, that's what you got in first place. Once you get down to third place, you're starting to get red shells. You're getting kind of the heavier hitting items. You're more likely to get your special items compared to the first place. By the time you hit 5th, you're more likely to get blue shells. You're more likely to get high-end mushrooms. You're far more likely to get your special abilities, meaning that you are far more likely to get tools that will upset the outcome of the race. Now, Mario Kart Wii, with its 12 racers, and while I have not tested this out, please do not think that I am an expert here, it feels to me like anybody under 6th place can get the ink block. So already you have tools that would be available at a lower place that's technically higher than what you'd be dealing with most of the time. You have the blue shells available, from my understanding, is 5th place or less. You have the bullet bill, more common at 6th or 7th, and more common in 10th place even. These differing situations that crop up as a direct result of where in the lineup you are also mean that there are more players with more items on the track, making it that much harder. And you're also dealing with rivals that are far superior to you, the player, in terms of raw speed, as was brought up a little while ago, where I was effectively trying out just seeing what happens and having opponents best me in a test of speed on a straightaway, despite being a character and kart far more potent than what my opponent was using. So, is this a fair trade-off? Is this something that we want? I don't know. I think it does definitely change the outcome and expectation of Mario Kart Double Dash and Mario Kart Wii as a whole, and why I always struggled with it as a kid. Because, lo and behold, it was designed from the ground up with the idea of certain things being more potent than others, and maybe not as well balanced. The other side of it is, as far as I'm concerned, is that Mario Kart Wii and subsequent games were also designed with what I would call the specialization in the online space, where the Nintendo WSC, which I have no idea what actually meant, was intended for the player to get involved and play the game with others from around the globe, just for the sake of playing the game with others from around the globe. It never really showcased how different it could potentially be, only that it was a thing that you could do. Now, this did lead to the rise of many hackers trying out different types of abilities and messing around with their opponents. Mario Kart's online games became a mess of hackers and players that really didn't play the game to the truest extent, at least not by what I would personally classify it as. But, nonetheless, it was still very much an option and something that came up as a direct result of the online play space. And by and large, I believe that many of the, shall I call it, weaknesses of Mario Kart Wii were likely a offshoot or problem brought up as, wow, okay, getting hit by that thing now 3 times in one cup, impressive. It was, in part, I believe these oversights were often a result of or influenced by the fact that they weren't just planning around individuals playing couch co-op or playing against each other in a singular space, but now against each other across the globe. Mario Kart Wii was intended to be bigger and better than anything that had come before it, and it showed. And So I can't necessarily fault the players for doing what they did, because ultimately I don't know very many people that wouldn't have. Finally, a blue shell that works to my liking. Donkey Kong, I apologize, but you kind of got in my way. Anywho, with all of that in mind, we're now in the 4th and final track, and we've won all 3 races so far. But I've been noticing items have becoming far more potent and consistent in 100cc. Makes me wonder just how bad 150 is going to be, because we're going to be continuing this into 150 and mirror mode in the future. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be a significantly harder experience playing 150cc without the use of items than it would be ordinarily. And this is just on the basis of if you're playing the game one-off or on an ordinary basis, then you're going to end up with the circumstance wherein you, the player, aren't necessarily going to be super far ahead, or perhaps that you, the player, are going to end up in a situation where the game really doesn't want you to succeed. But be that as it may, that's a future Nova problem. For now, I want to kind of acknowledge one of my biggest weaknesses right now. And it is that I'm noticing that I'm actually far stronger with the Nitro Cups than I am the Retro Cups of Mario Kart Wii. Now this could simply be due to a lack of practicing them, because I prefer the Nitro over the Retro Cups, but it could also simply be due to the Nitro Cups being designed from the ground up with this game in mind, and the Retro Cups being adjusted to account for the changes in gameplay from Mario Kart 64 to Mario Kart Wii. I've noticed that I do find that Mario Kart Wii's Bowser Castle, Mario Kart 64 version, of Bowser's Castle is a very much harder experience on the original game than it is on this version. Anyway, if you like what you see, are curious just how much different one version of the game to the next will actually be, or simply want to see more Mario Kart content in the future, I would love if you left a like, a subscribe, and maybe a comment down below. I'd love to see it. Until next time, I hope you all have a good one.